Man, you guys sound beautiful. You can have a seat. Good morning, Ascent. My name is Paige Atkins, and I have the joy of helping John and Jackie, and in fact, another Paige Lorenzen, help with this round of core groups. And we'll get more into the study, what the study is all about in a moment. But first, I just wanted to share my heart behind why this matters. And over the past 6 months, God has really laid it on my heart to lean in to what Ascent is doing. And after Bill and Jackie got back from sabbatical, I was able to sit down with them and really voice my longing to know the people that I go to church with on a deeper level. And we want that for everybody at Ascent. So we started talking about core groups, and I raised my hand and I said, yes, how can I help? Let's do it. And while I know we have a couple of core groups that are existing, today I want to invite all of you, everybody who calls Ascent home, to be part of it. Now, my family has been watching the show The Chosen, and if you know me, you might know my obsession with it. But every time we sit down, we tell our kids we're going to watch another episode, their immediate, inevitable response is groaning. Like, oh, do we have to watch that? Can't we just watch Bluey or Beast Games? But we persevere, we push through, we watch an episode, and by the end of it, we're all a little bit different. We're all moved. We feel blessed because we did. And that first reaction might be how you feel when I say something like, would you like to join a small group? No thanks, not for me. Or maybe it just feels overwhelming to add something else to your already busy schedule. Trust me, I get it. And actually, I'm a little bit more extroverted, but my husband, not so much. You might know him. His name is Stuart. He preaches up here. He's on staff here. And he's up here. He's cracking jokes. He's bringing the word. But the real Stuart would prefer solitude over just about anything. And we've participated with groups like this in the past, and he's always dragging his feet there. But by the end of it, we leave, and we feel blessed. So our vision is, like I said, for everyone who calls Ascent home to be part of this. And if you have young kids, of course, we don't want that to prevent you from participating, and we're working out a child care plan to help you. We already have a couple of students who have said, yes, I'm willing to help in this regard. And there will be a fee for this, but we're hoping to link arms as a church as we invest in the next generation, and they help us out, and we build community. And students, if you're interested, I would love to talk to you about it. But anyone who's college age and up, we invite you to sign up for a core group. No matter where you are in your faith journey, you can participate. Because I want to grow together. I want Ascent to be a place where I can walk in and see people that I recognize who know me, who know my family, who know my victories and my struggle. And if you've ever felt like you're unseen here, or you want a deeper connection, or maybe just someone to sit in church with, this is how that changes. With that being said, our goal is to make these groups intergenerational. Let me just let that settle for a moment. It might sound terrifying to some of you. But for whatever it's worth, I've participated in groups like these in the past, and it's been an amazing experience, and I'd love to tell you about it if you'd like to. Because it's not always about just being with your best friends or people in your same life stage. It's about getting to know and learning from and pouring into people that you go to church with, and they might not be in your same life stage. So would you just try it? It's an 8-week commitment, not your whole life. Sign-ups are officially open. Thanks to everybody that already filled out an interest form. Whether or not you filled out the interest form, we still need you to fill this form out to be put in a group. The interest form helped us to get organized up to this point, so thank you for doing that. The deadline to officially sign up is February 16th, but we encourage you not to wait so that we can start putting these groups together. The team that I mentioned at the beginning will be working hard to form these groups as signups come in. If you have any questions, we'll be in the lobby, and or you can email us at core groups at ascentcc.org, and one of us will get back to you that way as well. So let's step into this next season as a church family. Let's build our community so that we can make even more of an impact for the good of our city. And as we've been saying, we're going through this Practicing the Way study. You've seen it out in the lobby as well. The church staff has already been going through this, kind of test driving it for us, and I've already seen incredible fruit from even that. It's an overview of spiritual practices that we're going to be learning about, but instead of me telling you more about it, we have a video from the creator of Practicing the Way, John Mark Comer, so check this out.
Who are you following? Everybody is following somebody or something. Put another way, everyone is a disciple. The question is not, are you a disciple? It's who or what are you a disciple of? 2,000 years ago, Jesus invited his first disciples to come and follow me. But what does it mean to follow Jesus today in our busy, digitally distracted, and increasingly secular cities? Over the last 2 millennia, millions of people have said yes to Jesus' invitation. It's changed not only their lives, but the course of human history. And it can do the same for you.
Well, good morning, friends. It's good to see you. My name is John Woolner. I'm one of the pastors here at Hessed, and I get the privilege of being able to share with you this journey that we're about to step into as a community around practicing the way of Jesus together. And part of my responsibility today is to help create a compelling why. Why would anyone want to step into something that seems like, it's just another thing to add to the schedule, but I want to help us create a compelling why and paint a picture of what I think this could do for you emotionally, what it can do for you spiritually, physically, psychologically, all of what makes you human, and to step into this practice together. But before we do that, and we step into the scripture this morning, I wanted to remind you that, this is February 2nd. We're entering into Black History Month. And because we're here at Ascent, this is an important value for us to step into the practice and raising awareness around what Black History Month is and how we can celebrate our brothers and sisters throughout our community. And one of the things that we're doing is we're asking you to watch the 6888, which is a film on Netflix. You can go and just type it in, the 6888. And we're having a discussion around this film on February the 9th next week at 11:30 in the Children's Alley. So if you haven't watched the film yet, do yourself a favor, watch the film, come ready to have some good discussion with people across the table, and we'll enter through this month together with care and compassion. Does that sound good? All right, wonderful. I'm glad you're stepping in. So here's what I want to do this morning. I want to take us through a Hebrew word. And this Hebrew word comes out of a study that we've done here in Circles called The Other Half of Church. And there's a section in the book that talks about Hessed. So there's this Hebrew word, Hessed. So can you say it with me on three? Ready? Hessed. 1, 2, 3. How does that feel? Does that feel good when you say that word? All right, just feel it. Feel it in your body. Feel it in your soul. Hessed, I want to saturate you into some Hessed. 2 Fridays ago, my wife and I went to a dinner party. And I don't know if you've had this experience, but we walked into the dinner party, and I could tell that people weren't really happy to see us. They weren't mad. They weren't like, oh, crap, who invited the Woolners? It was more of like, just kind of like maybe a mild indifference. Have you ever experienced some mild indifference when you walk into a room? And you're like, I don't know that they're really genuinely happy to see us. Now, that could be for a variety of reasons. It could be I come on too strong, which I know can be true sometimes. But I could tell just by reading people's faces throughout the evening that their faces, and we're always reading people's faces, and sometimes we get it right, and sometimes we really screw it up, and we don't get it right. But I could tell that they just were not really excited to see us. And that does something to you when you walk into a room and people aren't genuinely happy to see you. Now, other side of that, you walk into a room of people, And they're not like fake excited to see you, but there's a genuine excitement. They're happy to see you, they're glad to see you, and you can feel it. Like your cells in your body know the difference. You may not be able to articulate it, but you're like, I think people are genuinely happy to see me. So your body's always sending signals. You're always reading people's faces, kind of scanning the room. Does anybody here know that I exist? Is anybody excited to see me? And I tremble at the thought of people walking into this space, like these religious spaces sometimes can be very intimidating. People walk in and you're like, I don't even know if they know that I exist. So how you come in and how you experience us. And many times you get around institutions or groups of people that gather around kind of a centered likeness, or they have similar values or similar beliefs. And we experience to a degree some kind of connection, but not the kind of connection that we're craving as human beings, like a deeper connection, like somebody's really interested in how I'm feeling or how I'm coming in today, and there's a genuineness to that expression. So many times what our experiences of groups is, it just seems like they're nice, but that may be all that happens in this experience. Or we gather around a similar set of beliefs, like we all kind of believe the same thing, therefore it puts us at ease. Now this word hesed, what I love about the Hebrew language is that it says a lot through just one word or one expression. So hesed has a multiplicity of meanings. It's not just one meaning. And that's the beauty of Hebrew, that it's like this is an expansive word that's attempting to describe something that isn't just a feeling, but it's deeply intertwined with who we are and how we are created as human beings. So I want you to think for a moment of hesed like relational glue. And what this relational glue can do and does is it takes us and it binds us together in a way that can't be easily pulled apart. So hesed is really centered in this idea of the power of relational attachment, how we attach as human beings. And when we think about the power of relational attachment, what this is getting at is how our character, how our identity is transformed and changed. And so we talk about that a lot in Christian community, how is our character being developed? How is our identity rooted in something that's big and beautiful and bold and doing something meaningful in the world? And when we think about our identity and our character and how we're formed and shaped, many times the reality is that the very things that we love, we become like. We are shaped by the things that we love. And so when you think about, well, what do I love? Who do I love? What kinds of connection am I experiencing with people? And so these attachments around hesed really get into emotional intelligence and our emotional resilience as people. So let's just do a quick breakdown of this word hesed. And I want you to look up on the screen for a moment at these words. So when we hear the word hesed all throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament, you'll see words like enduring covenant love, which is attempting to capture the deep meaning of this word, or steadfast love. There's a scripture passage that says, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. Great love. See what great love the Father has bestowed upon us. This is essentially trying to capture the essence of hesed. Loving kindness. It's the loving kindness of God that actually causes us to come back in repentance and restoration in relationship. The mercies of God, the faithful love of God. When we talk about hesed, you see the richness of the word. Hesed is about a deep kind of enduring connection with another that brings abundant life and all the good things in a relationship. This is hesed attempting to carry the meaning of this word. It's enduring, loyal love that you feel for another human being. Hesed protects, it loves, it always believes the best. It's rooted in 1 Corinthians 13. If you were to read that chapter in the New Testament, it's all the chapter on love. And what it's attempting to do is capture the essence of hesed. Love is patient and kind. Love keeps no records of wrongs. Love always trusts, always believes the best about people. It sees the beauty of potential in another human being. That's the power of hesed. So it's very much rooted in who God is and what the nature of God is. So I want us to think about this nature of hesed. Again, it's like this relational glue that holds us together no matter what. A high hesed community experiences boundedness together by strong, lasting attachments. So your relational attachment is rooted. So I want you to think for a moment about the people that you love the most in life. Your friends, your family, your partner, your close family members, those people that you've been walking through life together with. Think about how you love them and how they love you. That is said. That relational attachment, when I think about my own kids, it's like I can't describe how much I love my son and my daughter. It's almost impossible for me to describe the depth of how much I love them and feel for them. That's Hessed, that enduring love, that steadfast love of the Lord that never ceases. And that kind of power, that kind of Hessed, that kind of relational glue is the strongest form of our brain health. And we think about how we attach to people and how we attach to community. And here's what I want you to hear, that without this Hessed, without this strong relational glue that holds us together, our soil is going to remain depleted. And at best, what we might experience here is just affinity. Like we like being around people, but without deep Hessed, we'll have a depleted soil. People will come in and they'll come out. But with joyful, secure attachments to one another, to God, to ourselves, we can move into deep brain health. And when there's weak Hessed, what happens is that our emotional responses get very deregulated and we move into a bad brain. So a healthy brain can help us to endure through relational conflict. But a bad brain can easily damage relationships because it's very reactionary. And so sometimes you watch people, when they're not in the healthiest space, they react to something, and those relationships that aren't glued can easily be torn apart. I want you to think of it like this. You know, you got duct tape. Everybody knows what duct tape is, right? And duct tape, if you know duct tape, like I know duct tape, that if you stick duct tape together, which nobody ever does, but it always happens on accident, doesn't it? You get this stupid tape together, and once you get this tape together, it is virtually impossible to pull it apart. That's Hessed. You can't pull it apart. So if I'm in a relationship where I'm relationally attached to you, and there's a healthy attachment, when you get mad at me or you disagree with me or you don't like something that I said, I'm not going anywhere. Why would I? I'm taped to you. This is ridiculous. I can't get away from you. There's such a deep relational connection. This is what the scriptures is essentially attempting to get at when it talks about the power of Hessed. And this is what's amazing about this is how our character develops. So when we think about our character and our identity, when we're relationally connected to people, what happens is those who we love end up shaping who we're becoming. So it's always good to who am I relationally connected to? And is this fostering health in my own growth and in my relationship with Jesus? So when we have this healthy attachment with one another, it's the glue that can handle just about anything. That means I can stay in relationship with you, I can stay in contact with you, and I can stay in conflict with you, and you can't easily run away. Now, for many of us, when we think about relationships, many of us are not actually in a relationship with an actual person. We're in a relationship with the idea of what we think that person should be. You got it? We're not actually in a relationship with somebody. We're in a relationship with an idea of what we think that person should be. And so when people say, my relationship isn't working, it's because you're not in a relationship. You're in a relationship with what you think they should be. And when you should on a relationship, it gets really messy and complex and hard. So I want you to think about that. Am I actually in a relationship with this person, or is it, I'm in a relationship with you, but here's what I need you to become. Here's what I think you should be. So I'm not actually loving you. I'm not actually relationally attaching to you because my love has an agenda. And to be clear, friends, love has no agenda. Or else it's not really love. And so again, we're getting at the essence of what it is. Are you in love with the person, or are you in love with the idea of what you want them to be? If we have Hessed in our relationships, my feeling towards you, my posture towards you, is I want nothing more than for you to show up as your authentic self. Many times when I'm meeting with people one-on-one, I will use this expression, all of you is welcome in this place. Let's go. Your emotional flare-ups, your tears, your outcries, any sort of breakdown emotionally, all of you is welcome here, because we're just trying to get to the root of actually what's going on in your inability to emotionally regulate when things get really hot or hard. Can we stay present? Because what happens is when we don't have strong Hessed in a community, we end up having a weak identity, and then we forget who we are and how we behave in certain situations. So if you think about a baby, when a baby is forming in those first 5 to 7 years, and there's this joyful attachment between the parent or the caretaker and the child, and the mother or the father is looking at the child with joy in their face, that child is forming and shaping based on joy. And their identity now has a chance to securely attach to the parent. So the other day we had a small group in our home. I'm gonna put you tops on the spot for just a moment, okay? And my dear friends, Bailey and Brittany Top, just have this beautiful little girl named Lily. She's a superstar, wouldn't you say, Mom? Yeah, she's a superstar. And she's big, beautiful eyes. And we were gathered in a circle and we were singing together. And she was just watching. And this was her first experience singing with a group of people. She was participating however a baby can participate, just kind of moving and feeling things, right? It was really cool. And I had this urge in the moment to pray for her. To I don't ever want her to forget that she came from joy and she will return to joy at some point in her life. But the essence of who she is, inherently valuable and worth everything. For a child to form a strong sense of attachment and identity. And then I was thinking, as I was looking at Lily, and I was thinking about all of humanity, in Genesis chapter 1, if we talk about how creation came into existence, it says, in the beginning, and I like to put the word the relationship, spoke us into existence. Because we have a relational connection in the story of creation. In the beginning, the relationship spoke you into existence and brought you into deep awareness. This is why Christian community has the potential to be the most potent community on the face of the planet. And we're going to attempt to help us move in that direction by implementing, practicing the way. It's we want you all to feel this deep relational connection with one another, to be able to be rooted in something where you can stay at the table longer than feels comfortable. And we believe, it's our conviction as a team, as a staff, that if we can raise Hessed, a high level of relational attachment, we might actually be able to transform cities and transform our community. Look at how they love one another is what the scriptures will often say. See how they love one another, not just how they agree on everything or how they gather around similar values and beliefs, but see how they love one another. Jesus has come to relationally attach us to himself and to each other. Jesus came to build a high Hessed community here on earth, and Jesus communities have the potential to be the most loving, compelling communities on the planet today. I firmly believe that. And I want you to hear this, that when we are living in healthy attachment, when we are living in this relational glue to a family that is rooted in Hessed, it puts our brains into this ideal zone of being able to develop into the image and likeness of Jesus. That's what we mean when we say we want to help you become like Jesus. We want to become like Jesus. And so we know that our brains need to be put into this ideal zone of relational connection where there's high joy, high love, high excitement, high levels of trust that are rooted in who we are as people. And what happens when you experience that is that you actually begin to become more like Jesus. Imagine a community of Christians becoming like Jesus. Now we're talking about significant change. Now I've grown up in the evangelical church. I've been around it for 50 plus years of my life. And very often the message that was given to me and how we transform as people is that we've turned it and we've flipped it around and we say it's actually our attachment to Jesus is what produces obedience. That's the good piece. But what we've done is we've taken that and we flipped it the other way around. It's our obedience that makes Jesus move towards us. It's our radical sense of we're getting this right that makes Jesus now accept us. Jesus always makes the first move. He radically attaches to us, and then the natural outcome is obedience. How could you not want to obey the very person that you're in love with? You're like, I want to do everything I can to organize my life and my passions around this compelling king. But weak Hessed is what most Christian communities that I've been a part of have experienced it. And I'm up here to tell you, I have been a part of that. As a pastor of discipleship, I have perpetuated weak Hessed by simply thinking the solution is just to get people into small groups, and that way Hessed will naturally grow. It doesn't always happen. But that becomes like a pattern or a solution to a problem. And I've perpetuated this unhealthy sense of connection in the church, and I'm here to tell you that I'm done with that. And what I'd like to do, and I know what our team would like to do, is to invite you into practicing the way as a way to practice spiritual disciplines so that we can relationally attach to one another. We can practice vulnerability. We can practice the element of surprise. We can actually tend to cultivate love and excitement and trust and joy so that we can experience rich relational connection. And I've been a part of 12 different faith communities. And many times, the things that are emphasized in these communities is we've got to make sure we have good, solid biblical teaching and doctrine. And I'm not disagreeing with that. But very often we think that's as far as we need to go. As long as we have good, solid biblical teaching and doctrine that is sound and solid, then we experience what we think transformation is going to happen simply by sitting and reading the scriptures. And what this does is it places a great deal of emphasis on behavior modification. And we are not interested in behavior modification. We're actually interested in transformation, where you become more like Jesus based on your ability to relationally attach to another person and walk in the way of Jesus together. But we think, oh no, if we just read the scriptures and get into a Bible study, that this is going to enable us to grow. That's not how it works, friends. We are wired and designed to connect with other human beings. And without Hessed, we will see very little transformation and change. We need this deep relational groove. Listen to the words of Jesus in John 14:23. Anyone who loves me, there's that word, anyone who loves me is Hesseded with me, is attached, will obey my teaching. It's not like I'm working really hard to obey Jesus. No, anyone who loves me and is Hesseded with me, like we're Hesseding together, we're relationally connected, obedience will be a natural flow. It'll just come out in a natural way. Like I want to do everything I can to walk in the way of Jesus with my people because it's our attachment to Jesus, the King, that actually produces the obedience. And that's very countercultural, and it's different than what a lot of us have grown up in. So your leadership here at Ascent is committed. We are committed to helping us all become a very basic rooted Hesed community. We are practicing this with ourselves. We're not just asking you to do it, but we as a team are practicing Hesed, where we go to one another in conflict and we work through things and we don't run when things get hard. We stay in it because we are glued together. We want to be in this together. Because if we don't have Hesed, friends, we're going to have to deal with the fact that we have lots of disconnection and people are going to come in here and they're not going to feel like we even know or care who they are. But if we practice Hesed and we make this a high Hesed community, we're actually going to see and realize that love actually changes us. Love is that ingredient that changes humanity. And even if we have all of the right strategies and we have the best 5-year plan and we're really enthusiastic and excited about it and we're really passionate about being for the good of our city, but we don't have deep Hesed, then all we are going to do is be an institution and not a family. And none of us want to be an institution. We've got enough of that on the planet. We don't want to create parking problems and noise. We want Hesed, deep relational connection that says, I'm in it with you. Whatever is going on, whatever you're facing your medical conditions, the things that you're moving through. We want to be a part of that because we want to relationally connect with you. And if all you do is produce weak Hessed, what happens, friends, is you become an institution that's rooted in transactionalism, and then it's all performance-based. And we've got enough of that in society. And again, we're not loving the person. We're loving what we think they should be. Hessed doesn't automatically mean that because you're in a small group now, everything is going to change. When you get into a group, practice in the way. We're inviting you into a group of people that want to connect with each other, grow deeper together, and get like really gluey together. We want to be relationally connected because we are so deeply and relationally connected to Jesus. And the natural outcome is when we're relationally and connected to Jesus is I want to be relationally and connected with you as a human being. And we watch, like throughout the scriptures, where it talks about Paul, he says, imitate me as I imitate Jesus. One of the ways that we shape in our character and our identity is that we look for people that we want to imitate in the community. And Paul, it almost feels arrogant, but you're like, no. Imitate me as I imitate Jesus because I want you to form, and I want you to know that this is how we act when we're in these situations where there's high stress or there's high conflict. This is what a Hessed-based community does. And so Paul says, imitate me as I imitate Jesus. And I want to take you through just a few questions that I want to invite you to ask yourself when you think about, okay, do I want to be like this person? Let's take our community, for example. I want to be like this person. Here's some questions that I want to invite you to consider. The first question is this. Is he or she an emotionally healthy person with good relational skills? That's a good question. Second question. Would I or you want to imitate them? Especially when it gets pretty hot. How are they in traffic? How you doing in traffic? You okay? It's just traffic, relax. Do they love people well? Like when you watch them, how are they at loving people? How much time are they spending on developing healthy attachments in their relationships when you look at how they move through life? Could they help me build relational skills, emotional resilience, and help me in my own character formation? Is love, this is my favorite one, is love the starting point of everything that they do and create in this world? Is love the starting point of every ministry that we do here at Ascent? And every event that we hold, is love the starting point? It has to be the starting point of everything that we do or that leader does. Is it holding them together? And here's one way that I can tell if a community of Jesus followers actually has high Hessed, is that you love your enemies really well, especially the enemies of your nation. Do you love your enemy well? Jesus was really clear with that. Do you stay in the conversation? Because if you just love those who have similar values and similar beliefs, it's good, but it's not Hessed. Hessed means I'm staying in it. Like I'm staying in this with you. And the quality of our soul is going to determine how we grow and develop here at Ascent. So we got work to do, friends, on the quality of our soil, making sure that we are rich in Hessed, and that every Christmas shop we do, and every event, and every block party, and every gathering, the starting point is always love, because we are so committed to the way of Jesus together, especially when there's disagreement. And so we don't just have pew shuffling between faith communities. We're like, no, we're staying, we're in this. I didn't like what so-and-so said from up front, but I'm going to go talk to them directly and not have a meeting behind their back. I'm going to go right to them, have a meaningful conversation, because we're Hesseding together, right? Am I talking to anybody in the room, by the way? Hesseding. It's like we say around here, we're committed to staying at the table more than feels comfortable. Longer and more. We want to stay at the table with one another. Let me remind you of the words of John 15. John 15 says this, and let's look at it together. I am the vine, you are the branches, Hesed. If you remain in me, if you're glued, and I in you, if you're glued, you will bear much fruit. Your character will change. But apart from me, you can do nothing. Then we got parking problems and noise. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you, Hessed and glue. There's that deep, rich connection. My command is crystal clear. Love each other as I have loved you. Relationally attached to each other with deep Hessed. These are the words of Jesus, the one that we're committed to following. Even Paul gets in on this when he talks about it in Romans 8. He says, nothing can separate us. There it is. There's that glue language. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. We're glued with God, and God is glued with us. In the beginning, the relationship created us, and out of the relationship, now we're stuck with each other, and whatever sticks stays. And now we're in this flow with God, the Father, God, the good God that has created us in its very image so that we can become more and more like Jesus because we are so relationally connected to the creator of the universe. Everybody in this room is cemented into the love of Jesus, and you cannot get away from it. Sorry, you can't. He's cemented himself to you and so deeply connected. And we, friends, have got to do better in how we go about doing relationships here at Ascent. We have got to do better, and we can, and we're going to, and we're committed to it. I hope you hear that. And friends, let me be crystal clear. We don't have to wait until we die to experience our heavenly family. If so, then everything that Jesus said, it's out the door for me. We get to experience heavenly connection and relationships here on the planet by practicing the way of Jesus together and establishing deep Hessed. Can you imagine a community of people being part of a faith community that is dedicated to becoming so spiritually and emotionally intelligent, to where we're working on our resilience and our emotional ability to stay in the conversation? Now, let me give you a healthy practice outside of John 15, and I want you to replace anytime you see the word love or enduring covenant or steadfast love in the scripture, just to go ahead and put in that concept of Hessed, that relational glue, that duct tape. 1 John 4:11. Dear friends, since God has joyfully attached himself firmly to us, we too get to joyfully attach ourselves to each other as family members. Said in that. That's the invitation. That's where we're headed. That's what we desire for you. What we want for you is to come into this place and experience the absolute delight of another human being that says genuinely, I'm so glad to see you, and I'm with you, and we are glued together. So let's be glued, let's Hessed, let's practice the way of Jesus together. Are you with me? All right. Congratulations, you made it through.